one, I think they kind of made it a little more difficult by doing all this stuff, but I think you will see this on practice buddies. So I want to do especially number 1 with you. So we're going to start off just like we did yesterday. We're going to take the 1/3 and 4/9 and we're going to stack them on top of each other, just like we did yesterday. Now, this first line, multiples of the denominator, what they're wanting you to do is they're wanting you to multiply 3 a couple of different times and put a couple of different numbers here. So because the denominator is the lowest on the bottom, so they're wanting you to take this 3 and they're wanting you to multiply it times 1, times 2, times 3, times 4, times 5. So let's do that real quick. That'll fill in this blank. So 3 times 1 would be
3.
Keep going. What would 3 times 2 be?
6.
3 times 3 would be 9. 3 times 4 would be 12. Let's do 2 more. 3 times 5 would be 15. And 3 times 6 would be 18. Now go to the next line. They're wanting you to do the same thing with only the denominator this time is 9. So let's do a couple of 9s. 9 times 1 would be 9. 9 times 2 would be 18. 9 times 3 would be 27. 9 times 4 would be 36. And 9 times 5 would be 45. Okay, that's all they're wanting you to do right there. Now let's go back over here to our scrap paper. Okay, and this is just a refresher because we did all this yesterday. Find the biggest denominator. It happens to be 9. Put your pencil there. Plan it, don't move it. So let's start by multiplying 9 times 1, just like we did. What is 9 times 1? 9. Is 3 times anything ever going to be 9? Yes, so let's use it. It's the lowest. So look, that goes right there on this line that says common denominator. You actually put number 9 right there. Now let's go back up here. So we got to figure out what the top number is. But remember, we ask ourselves, how do we get from 3 to 9? What do we multiply by? 3. So put a times 3 right there.
It's a great day for school at CMS. Good morning. Let's all stand, face the flag, and place our hands over our hearts for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is now time for the moment of silence. You may choose to reflect, meditate, pray, or engage in any other silent activity that does not interfere with others. The moment of silence shall begin now. In the cafeteria today, we will be having waffles, scrambled eggs, sausage, breakfast potatoes, fruit, and milk. Student council will meet today after school till 4. Have a tiger day.
Okay, so what we were doing right whenever we stood up to do the pledge, we realized that we multiplied times 3. So put a little times 3 right there in the middle. And do you remember, whatever you do to the bottom, finish my sentence, you got to do the top. So 1 times 3 would get me 3. So now let's fill in some blanks over here. So go over here to where this says 1/3. What do we multiply 1/3 by? The top and the bottom. What do we multiply it by? 3. So they wrote it twice. I usually just write it once, but they wrote it twice. That's all that is. And then what did we get our final answer to be? 3/9. So that goes there. Okay. Now we're down here on this bottom. How in the world do we get from 9 to 9? What do we multiply by? 1. Now let's fill that in. We just write it once, but they want you to write it twice. That's okay. Because they're basically saying whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do the top. So if we multiply the bottom times 1, we got to multiply the top times 1. 4 times 1 would get me 4, and there's your final answer. Oh, actually, no, we got some more stuff we got to fill in.
Yeah.
What did we say 1/3 was? We changed it to 3/9. And we left 4/9 at 4/9. Because that was the lowest denominator. Is this coming back to you? I know we slept last night, but we did a bunch of it yesterday. And I'm not doing as much of it with you today. So Kiara, pick a number, 2 through 9.
2.
3/4 and 2/5. Okay, we're gonna start with our bigger denominator. Is that 4, is that 5?
5.
Get your pencil there and don't move it. So let's start multiplying times 5s and see if one of those numbers will work for 4 too. So 5 times 1 is 5. Is 4 times anything ever going to be 5? No. Let's go to the next 5. What would the next 5 be? 10. Is 4 times anything ever going to be 10? Then let's go to the next 5. What would that be?
15.
Is 4 times anything ever going to be 15? Then go to the next 5. What would that be? 20. Is 4 times anything ever going to be 20? Yes. So there's your new denominator. So Brooklyn, up here on this top fraction, how in the world did we go from 4 to 20, sister? Times 5. And Bentley, if we multiply the bottom times 5, we got to multiply the top times 5. So what's my new top number? 15. Now we're down here on the bottom, Mr. Collin. How do we go from 5 to 20? What do we multiply by? 4. So Jake Lee, if we multiply the bottom times 4, we got to multiply the top times 4. What do we get? 8. There's your new answers. 15/20ths, 8/20ths. Give me a good old head shake if this is making lots of sense. Good, because we're going to have to do it on your own. Okay, you can pick a number, 2 through 9.
Me?
Huh?
Me?
Yep.
9.
Number 9. Ooh, we picked the hard one. 5/6 and 8/21. Woo! Okay, we have a choice. Are we going to start on 6 or are we going to start on 21? 21. So 21 times 21, or excuse me, 21 times 1 is 21. So the question is 6 times anything 21? No. Let's see. What's 6 times 3?
18.
18. What's 6 times 4?
24.
Did anybody hear 21? No? Then that won't work. So we've got to go to the next 21. So if you don't know that, that's fine. So on your scrap paper, come over to the side and do 21 times 2, just like this. Do it right now. Do it. I know y'all know it, but do it. So let's multiply. 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. So I'm down here on 21. Get your pencil back there. But I'm not 21 anymore. What am I now? Say this number.
42.
I'm 42. Is 6 times anything going to get me 42? Yes. It's pretty obvious who knows their multiplication and who doesn't. So Luke, say that again. How do we go from 6 to 42? What do we multiply by? 7. So if we multiply the bottom times 7, Cooper, we got to multiply the top times 7. What's 5 times 7?
35.
35. Now we're on the bottom. How do we go from 21 to 42? What did we just multiply by to get 42? Say this number.
Times
2. So put a times 2 right there in the middle. And if we multiply the bottom times 2, we got to multiply the top times 2. So what's 8 times 2?
16.
16. There's your answers. $35 over 42, 16 over 42. Okay, I'll do one more. Hope, pick a number, 2 through 9.
7.
7, 6/7 and 1/5. Well, 7's my bigger denominator, so start right here on 7. Don't take your pencil off of that. What's 7 times 1 going to get me? 7. Is 5 times anything going to get me 7? No. Then we got to go to the next 7. Xander, what would the next 7 be? 7 times 2. Oh dear, what's 7 times 2?
14.
Is 5 times anything gonna get you 14? No, then I gotta go to the next 7. Laney, what's the next 7? Well, 7 times 3. What's 7 times 3? 21. Is 5 times anything gonna get you 21? Then I gotta go to the next 7. Kiara, what's the next 7? 28. Is 5 times anything gonna get you 28? Then I gotta go to the next 7. Luke, what's the next 7? We're on 7 times 5. What? 35. Is 5 times anything gonna get you 35? Yes. Oh my gosh, you cannot do this if you don't know your multiplication. You can't. So now we're on our top numbers. How in the world did we go from 7 to 35? What did we multiply by? Times 5. Well, if you multiply the bottom times 5, you got to multiply the top times 5. So what's 6 times 5, class? 30. Now we're on the bottom. Brooklyn, how did we go from 5 to 35, sister?
Times 7.
Yes. And if we multiply the bottom times 7, we got to multiply the top times 7. Boys, what would 1 times 7 be?
7.
There's your answers. 30 35ths and 7 35ths. And that's all I'm doing on the front. Number 10. On the Del River, a boat will pass the Colby Drawbridge and then the Wave Drawbridge. Let's just talk real quick. I'm on some kind of river. Boats are going down some kind of river and they get to a bridge. My boat is too tall. What do? They raise this bridge up somehow, don't they? And then eventually they can put it back down and it all fits back together and you can drive over it. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? This is called a drawbridge. So let's go back to this. What river are we on? Del River. What drawbridge are we passing first? Say this. Colby. That's important. The Colby drawbridge. That's important. And after we pass the Colby drawbridge, then what do we pass? The Wave drawbridge. That's important. You want to know why? Because look over here at your chart. There's a whole bunch of bridge names on here. There's only 2 that we need. What 2 do we need? Tell me again. Colby, put a star by that. And what else? Wave, put a star by that. That's the only 2 we need. What do we know about Asher Cross? Too much information. What do we know about Rainbow? Too much information. What do we know about Red Bank? Too much information. I only need Colby and Wave. Get your pencil and rename. That's as far as we made it so far. Rename each of the 2 drawbridge opening times. There are 60 minutes in an hour, so read this with me. Use 60 as what? A common denominator. So let's look at Colby. What fraction did they give us for Colby? 3/4. Write that on your scrap paper. What other bridge are we looking at? Wave. What fraction did they give us for Wave? 1/6. And it just told us to use, y'all read it with me, to use what number? 60. There we go. So 6 is my bigger denominator. Well, it really doesn't matter. We already figured this out. We already know what the denominator is going to be. So we just got to ask ourselves, how do we go from 4 to 60? Well, here's what we did last hour, okay? Because some kids were like, I don't know, that's too big. I went to what I do know. And this is what I do know. I know that 10 times 4 is 40. Where do I got to get to? 60. So I can keep going up by 4s. What would 11 times 4 be?
44.
I'm getting closer. What's 12 times 4? 48. Keep going up by 4s. What's 13 times 4 going to be? 52. What's 14 times 4 going to be? Keep going up by 4s.
56.
Okay, stop for a minute. Am I getting closer to 60?
Yes.
Yeah, then I'm going to keep going until I get to 60. So what would 15 times 4 be? Keep going up by 4s. Ding, 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 ding. So what did I multiply 4 by to get 60?
15.
There you go. I didn't know what 4 times something that was 60. So I just went to what I did know and I kept adding 4s, okay? That's what you should do too. It's like a little cheat. Now if I multiplied the bottom times 15, what do I got to do to the top? Multiply by 15. So if you don't know that, that's fine. Write it on your scrap paper. Put the big number on top. Xander, come on. You should be doing what I'm doing. What is 3 times 5, class? 15. Carry a 1. What's 3 times 1, class? 3 plus 1 more is 4. There's your new top number. See, you just wrote my answer. That's not right. That's not right at all. How do you go from 6 to 60? What do we multiply by? 10. Well, if we multiply the bottom times 10, we got to multiply the top times 10. So what's my answer? 10. So there's your first set of answers. 45 over 60 and 10 over 60. But then I'm putting a semicolon because I'm not done. Okay, when you get that, let me see your eyes so I know you're with me. Here's where we stopped off. We stopped off at the use 60 as a common denominator. We've done that. So here's where we are right now. So find then in your word problem, and let's see what else it tells us to do. Then we've got to rename the opening time using, what does that say? Another common denominator. We get to pick it this time because I didn't like 60. It was too big. So what was the number for Colby? What was the fraction for Colby? 3/4. Write it on your scrap paper. What was the fraction for Wave? 1/6. I'm not using 60. I only did that because they told me to. I want to use the, say this number, lowest. Get your pencil on 6. What's 6 times 1?
6.
Is 4 times anything ever going to be 6? Then I got to go to the next 6. What's the next 6?
12.
Is 4 times anything ever going to be 12? Yes. So there's your new denominator. I like this so much better because it's, say this word, lower. So how do you get from 4 to 12, Lainey? What do we multiply by? Xander, what do we multiply by? 4 times what gets me 12? Kiara, what do we multiply by to get 12? Oh, this is embarrassing. You should have said 3. Okay, I'm getting aggravated at students who do not know their multiplication facts. It's ridiculous. So if you multiply the bottom times 3, what do you got to do the top? Multiply it times 3. So what's 3 times 3? 9. There's your first answer. Now we're on the bottom. How in the world do we go from 6 to 12? 6 times what gets me 12? Say it, 2. That is so easy. You should know this. We're in 5th grade. So if we multiply the bottom times 2, we got to multiply the top times 2. So what's 1 times 2, class? 2. There's your second answer. And I like it so much better because it's so much lower, easier. I didn't have to do all this for that one because it's so much lower. Number 11, Phil baked 2 kinds of pies. Each pie was the same size. He served half of the blueberry pie. Circle that, half of the blueberry. Circle that. He served 1/4 of the apple. That's important information. Apple and blueberry, half and a 1/4. Get your pencil on if. If each pie had 8 pieces to start, what fraction in, say this next word, 8. Is that an 8?
No.
Is that an 8?
No.
What are they wanting us to do? Use 8 as what? The common denominator. So write 1/2 and write 1/4. Actually, I didn't read all that. It wants what fraction in 8 of the, what does this say? Apple pie. So I really only had to write 1/4. So erase that. And my denominator's 8. Because they told me to do it in 8s. So Hope, how do I go from 4 to 8? 4 times what gets me 8?
6.
No, not 4 times 6. 4 times 6 gets me 24. 2. So if I multiply the bottom times 2, I got to multiply the top times 2. So what's 1 times 2, class? 2. So there's your first answer. It wasn't ever 1/4, it was 2/8 because they wanted us to do it in eighths. Are y'all tracking with me? Okay, now let's keep going. We're on how many? How many more? What does how many more mean to do? Subtract. So I'm going to subtract something. What am I subtracting? Pieces of what? Blueberry pie, then the apple pie. So I'm subtracting the blueberry pie from the apple pie. Well, I know that this is 2/8 now. We just changed this to 2/8. So what would half be on eighths? Say it. 4/8. So change this to 4/8. So if I had 4/8 and you came and took 2/8 away, then how much do I have now? 2/8. There's your answer. 2/8 and 2/8. Number 12, Shelly is trying to improve her running time for a track race. Let's talk about running. I'm not a good runner. I never really have been. I broke my leg in 3rd grade, and that was like my excuse for not being a good runner ever since then. So I'm 47 years old, and I'm still using that excuse that I broke my leg in 3rd grade. I should probably give up that excuse, since that was in the 3rd grade. But anyway, what's the goal of running? If I'm gonna run against you, what's the goal? How do I know if I beat you?
Because I'll be behind you.
Okay. I need something about time though.
You have a lower time.
Did you hear what he said? A lower time. This time, a big number doesn't count. Like in basketball, whoever has the most points counts, right? But in running, whoever has the lower time is actually the faster person. So here's Shelly. She's wanting to improve. How would she improve her time then? What's she going to have to do to improve her time? Tell me.
Run faster.
The time. What's she going to have to do? How do I get better on my time? How do I get better?
Get faster.
How do I get better though? I take time off. My number is getting shorter. I can run faster. What if I ran in an hour? 1 hour. But I want to do better. So would it be an hour and plus some minutes, or would it be less than an hour? That's what I'm saying, okay? So her first race, she ran in this. Think about that like money. How much is that in money?
$43.
Said 13 cents. What'd she do in her second race? $43.10. Not one. Nope. Whoever said 10 was right. $43.10. Well, let's see. Did she get better?
Yes.
Did she take time off?
Yes.
How much time did she take off?
3
3 pennies, like money, okay? Now her third race was, say this number in money, $3.07. Is this less than this?
Yes.
By how much?
3 pennies.
3 pennies. So, if this pattern continues, what's the pattern?
-3.
Taking away how much?
3.
3 pennies. Don't say 3. 3 pennies or 3 cents. What will Shelly's time be in the fourth race? So Jake Lee, take 3 pennies away from that and tell me what my money is. It's really not money. It's really time. So go backwards 3 pennies. Yep, $43.04, but it's really not money. It's really in seconds. She's getting better. If I went and ran, I would have to add time to mine. I am not a good runner at all. But Shelly, she's a good runner. She's getting better and better. Okay, last one I'm doing. Alicia measured 1/4 of a yard of the blue diamonds fabric and 5/6 of a yard of the yellow bonnets fabric. Oh, what's she making? She's making a quilt. And a quilt has a bunch of different fabrics on it. So how much did she use of the blue diamond? Say this again. 1/4 of a yard and 5/6 of a yard of the yellow. So it's like a yellow and blue quilt. Do you see that in your head? You should. Get your pens on rename. Rename each length of fabric. Use the number of inches in a yard as a common denominator. Well, come over to the side and write our fabric amounts. 1/4 and 5/6. Now, we got to figure out how many inches are in a yard because we don't know what goes there. They gave us a hint. Okay, are you watching? Here's what I know just about 1 foot. Y'all should know this. How many inches are in a foot? 12 inches. That doesn't give me the inches in a yard yet, though. So if a yard is 3 feet, that's 1 foot, didn't it? 1 foot is that. So a yard is 3 of those. What would 12 and another 12 be?
36.
There you go. Then that's your denominator you have to use. Now we got to fill in our numerators. So Bentley on the top. How do we go from 4 to 36? What do we multiply by? Who knows? Say it. 9. 4 times 9 is 36. So if you multiply the bottom times 9, finish my sentence. Got to multiply the top times 9. So what's 1 times 9, class? 9. There's your first answer. 9 over 36. Caden, tell me what to do here. How do I go from 6 to 36?
times 5.
6 times 5 is 30.
6.
Good. 6 times 6 is 36. So Jake Lee, if I multiply the bottom times 6, I got to multiply the top times 6. So what's 5 times 6, Jake Lee? 30. There's your answer. 30 over 36. And why did I use 36? Because it wanted the number of inches what? In a yard. That's why I had to use 36. Okay, 14 and 15 are just like yesterday. It doesn't just want the lowest denominator. It wants all the denominators. So I'm going to be a friend. I'm going to tell you there's 3 answers to this. And there's 2 answers to this. I'm being nice. I'm letting you know. So you've got the front. You've got these 2. We did a practice study last Tuesday that's due tomorrow. You might not have it finished. If you do, then you need to go on to practice study 7-2. Okay, go.